The most interesting exchange came about, and this, of course, was Rick Perry's first time on the debate stage with his fellow clown car members. And Rick Perry really struck me. I've never really seen him in any type of setting other than, I think, that clip that we played of him talking about abstinence. And I thought, wow, okay, that guy's really dumb. But, boy, he really brought his stupidity last night. And here he is. And I think the Romney people might be right about this. The Romney people are saying this is why he can never win the general election. And this is an exchange that Perry had regarding Social Security. So this is clip number 1.
Governor Perry, you said you wrote the book Fed Up to start a conversation. Congratulations. It's certainly done that in recent weeks. In the book, you call Social Security the best example of a program that, quote, violently tossed aside any respect for states' rights. We understand your position that it's got funding problems now. I'd like you to explain your view that Social Security was wrong right from the beginning.
Well, I think any of us that want to go back and change 70 years of what's been going on in this country is probably going to have a difficult time. And rather than spending a lot of time talking about what those folks were doing back in the 30s and the 40s is a nice intellectual conversation, but the fact is we got to be focused on how we're going to change this program. And people who are on Social Security today, men and women who are receiving those benefits today are individuals at my age that are on in line pretty quick to get them. They don't need to worry about anything. But I think the Republican candidates are talking about ways to transition this program. And it is a monstrous lie. It is a Ponzi scheme to tell our kids that are 25 or 30 years old today, you're paying into a program that's going to be there. Anybody that's for the status quo with Social Security today is involved with a monstrous lie to our kids, and it's not right.
So here's Rick Perry challenging, and this is a difficult situation for him here. He is trying to pivot and say that Social Security is not going to work. But he has in the past challenged Social Security as fundamentally as something that shouldn't exist. And George Bush learned the hard way that you can't really get away with that. And so Romney is now going to follow up and try and box Perry into that corner by forcing Perry to say that Social Security is illegitimate. Now, understand here, this is a talking point on the right. Perry is trying to say that he is more conservative than Romney. And Romney's trying to say that he's more electable and trying to push Rick Perry into the zone of you're completely back crap crazy, which is that Social Security shouldn't exist. So here is Romney coming back with that.
Well, the issue is not the funding of Social Security. We all agree and have for years that the funding program of Social Security is not working. And Congress has been raiding the dollars from Social Security to pay for annual government expenditures. That's wrong. The funding, however, is not the issue. The issue in the book Fed Up, Governor,
this is where Romney says we should put it in a lockbox. We should put the funding in a lockbox and not allow Congress to raid it. Now, of course, we all agree that Social Security Trust Fund has been raided. The question is, do we have an obligation to pay it back? Why was it raided? To pay for the Bush tax cuts on the wealthy. Why don't they want to pay it back? Well, because then they'll have to make it up with income taxes. This is the crux of the matter. But Romney's not going to call for a lockbox.
Annual government expenditures. That's wrong. The funding, however, is not the issue. The issue in the book Fed Up, Governor, is you say that by any measure, Social Security is a failure.
You can't say that to tens of millions of Americans who live on Social Security and those who have lived on it. The governor says, look, states ought to be able to opt out of Social Security. Our nominee has to be someone who isn't committed to abolishing Social Security, but who's committed to saving Social Security. We have always had at the heart of our party a recognition that we want to care for those in need, and our seniors have the need of Social Security. I will make sure that we keep the program and we make it financially secure. We save Social Security, and under no circumstances would I ever say, by any measure, it's a failure. It is working for millions of Americans, and I'll keep it working for millions of Americans, and we've got to do that as a party.
Thank you, Governor. Governor Perry, a 30-second rebuttal. Governor Romney said Vice President Cheney is right, and you're wrong about Ponzi scheme.
Well, here's, again, we're not trying to pick fights here.
Understood.
We're about fixing things. You can either have reasons or you can have results. And the American people expect us to put results in place. You cannot keep the status quo in place and not call it anything other than a Ponzi scheme. It is. That is what it is. Americans know that. And regardless of what anyone says, oh, it's not, and that's provocative language, maybe it's time to have some provocative language in this country and say things like, let's get America working again and do whatever it takes to make that happen.
Wow, that's provocative. He was really going out on a limb there. Let's get what it takes to have America working again and do what it takes. This guy, wow. And he's got a real problem here because Social Security the system has stayed the same essentially over the past 70, almost 80 years now. And so he is calling this 80-year system, which in the worst case scenario will pay out 78% of promised benefits starting in 2037 until we're all dead. All of us listening to this program are all dead. He's saying that's a Ponzi scheme. Well, a Ponzi scheme is that you run out of people who are putting money into the system. This is a generational transfer, and the younger generation gives to the older generation. That's the way Social Security works. If it was a Ponzi scheme, you would have to have all the young people die and not exist. They'd just go away. But there will always be young people. If not, then I think Social Security would be the least of our worries. We'll be in some type of like weird, Star Trek episode. There's no young people.
What's that movie, Children of Men?
There's no young people. There's no young people. They went away. That's when you hear like the figure $70 trillion. When you hear the figure $70 trillion. The country has a $70 trillion liability. That is somebody saying, we've got to pay out Social Security and we've got to pay out Medicare without any contemplation that there'll be young people alive to pay into the system. It's as if everybody gets to be 65. You come out of the womb and you're 65. So it is, in fact, not a Ponzi scheme. And, I think if you want to really make sure that there is no Republican president in 2012, what you hope for is Romney to keep going after Perry this way, Perry entrenching himself more, and exposing Romney as some type of liberal Northeast Republican rhino, so that the crazies in the Republican Party nominate Perry.